Good evening, ladies and gents, and everyone else that's out there, or unless it's morning, but hey, who knows? My name is Gumshoe, and welcome to the podcast. Today, we're going to be talking a little bit about April, and also our main topic today is going to be father figures in video games. So that's always going to be an interesting topic, but there's a lot of news that happens, so let's go to the headlines first. First thing to talk about is the Nintendo Labo is finally out, and people have been posting their beautiful cardboard creations online. And I gotta say that
It looks like a lot of fun.
I wasn't immediately sold on the Nintendo Labo, but now actually seeing it in action and seeing all these things that we've come out of it, it's a lot better than I would have thought that what would happen with it.
And one of the great things is that they encourage you to trace and keep the outline so that you can make more like of that shape. You could easily order more of the cardboard stock if you break it. So a lot of people were like,
they have replacement packages and everything, and it's not too expensive, especially since it's better than having to buy the entire thing over again. Though I will say, if you are one of those people that happen to break everything, it's better to buy the whole package again, because oh boy, if you buy like 6 of those replacement packages, you can get pretty pricey. But the Labo itself is actually pretty pricey for what you're getting with. So I mean, it's another one where I would.
There's a game in there, isn't it? Like,
well, yeah, because what you're getting the cardboard. They have 2 sets now. You get the variety, or you get the robot one. The robot one looks really cool though. But
it's really complicated.
Just saying, that's the one that I would pick. But I think they're both around $70, not $7. I wish. $70, and I would say that maybe wait a little bit if you're unsure. I'm pretty sure. Well, with Nintendo stuff, it's really hard to say when they're gonna go on sale. But we're approaching summer, or we're gonna be in the fall season, and there tend to be sales around those times. So I would say if you have a Switch, and this looks pretty interesting, especially if any of you have like kids or anything, then this looks ridiculously good. So I wish I had a Switch so I could test it out, but
same.
This might actually make me this. I didn't think this would make me want to have a Switch more, because I thought Bayonetta 3 getting announced would be like, okay, I need this thing now, but then this rolled around, and I'm like, oh god,
playset thing, Lego playset. Yeah, I think it looks really cool. I like stupid control gimmicks, so I think this looks really cool.
So you're the type of person that plays RE4 on the GameCube with the chainsaw peripheral?
Yeah, pretty much.
Nice. All right, let's get into the next topic. So, in case you haven't heard, there's a new Battle Royale game called Radical Heights. That's
very radical.
It's super radical. It's super groovy. Or wait, that's not an 80s thing, I think. Well, anyway, it's a Battle Royale game, but it's heavily drenched in 80s nostalgia, and it's awesome. It's in early access right now. It's also free to play. As long as you have a good Windows computer, you can probably run it. Sad thing is, though, that as of we recording this podcast, the game's been out, I can't remember if it's probably going to be around 3 weeks when this podcast gets released.
Probably.
And it's already lost like more than 80% of its player base.
Yeah. It might be important to note what team is behind it mainly. It's high was their name High Voltage? But it's Cliffy B's team. They just came off of making Lawbreakers, another very unsuccessful trend-driven game, and now he's made another trend-chasing game that's not doing so well. From what I've heard, I haven't gotten a chance to play it, unfortunately, but I've heard it's actually from my friends. They've only said it's fun, but a lot of the podcasts I've listened to, they haven't been enjoying it. But
I think that the game, it's very, very early, and I think one of the biggest reasons why it probably lost a lot of its player base is because there's not a lot of options. It is very, very bare bones. And
yeah.
I know it's early access and all that, but the problem is that this game solely relies on a good player base. So the fact that we don't have squads, the only thing we can have is duo teams. And I think that really hurt the game. Like, even if the graphics are the way that they are, and even the game's not like fully optimized, I can still play it fine, and I'm on a Mac. So yeah, it's fine. It's just that there's not a lot of options when it comes to playing with other people. So I really think if it just started with the squad, it probably wouldn't have seen that drop in player base, which, again, it's also sad. But then again, maybe once that finally gets implemented into the game, we'll see a rise, which is what I'm hoping, because I actually really enjoy the couple hours or so that I put into the game. And I'm not really too big on like Battle Royale stuff. I didn't really enjoy Fortnite. I haven't played PUBG that much, but I don't know. I actually kind of liked playing this one, so maybe it's just the 80s. I have no idea, but that's probably it.
They do have those sweet licensed songs from the 80s.
Yeah, they do. So I'm like, it's also a game I really just want to see succeed. Especially when you say that this is from the same people that made Lawbreakers, and
Lawbreakers was not that bad. It didn't deserve the death that it died, but unfortunately, it died.
Yeah, that's also something that maybe we'll get into on another podcast. The post-mortem of games that just died too quickly. Rip Battleborn, in case you remember that.
That was.
So yeah. Anyway, let's move on to the next headline with some Sega news. Not all Sega news. We'll save the really important stuff for later. But the first thing we want to talk about is that Sega has announced that they are in the works of making a Mega Drive / Genesis Mini. We have no real clear details on what they will put on it, but they have shown a design, and they have shown that they are like, yeah, we're going to do this thing. So that looks pretty interesting. I kind of think that the only thing that I'm a little iffy on is that the thing about Sega, though, is that they have a lot, especially with the Genesis, is that they have been re-released so many goddamn times.
Yeah, it's not as special as the NES Mini or the SNES Mini. It just doesn't feel the same, but. Because you have the Sonic Genesis collection, you have there's also those plug and play Genesis collection things as well.
Also, if you have Steam, you can basically get every single Genesis game, and then they're even going to come out with a version of that for PS4 and Xbox One. Well, so I'm like, I look at this thing and I'm like, oh no, I don't think it's going to sell as well as they probably think it will.
Did you have a Genesis? Yeah.
I did not, but one of my friends, which I don't know if he's going to listen to this podcast, but he has a Genesis, and I played a little bit. I have played on a Genesis before. He has a Model 1 Genesis, so that's extra special.
I think I had a Model 2.
Most people have a Model 2.
It was not the fat one, it was the skinny one. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. But basically, the main factor here is that I don't think that this Genesis or Mega Drive Mini, depending on where you live, is going to do that well, especially when you compare it to the SNES and NES Mini.
Yeah, definitely not.
I think it's just kind of going to be games that you could see and play everywhere else, unless it does something truly special. Like it's got to have like a game that hardly ever gets ported, or it's got to be like the best version of each of these games with like multiple options, where it's like really enhanced ports. Then I could see them doing something. But like I said, you're gonna need something more than just, hey, you can play these games, even though you already could play these games on like 5 different other things. I'm pretty sure Sonic 1's gonna be on there, so that means that means there's at least like 25 different things you could buy Sonic 1 on. Soon enough, I'll be able to play it on my toaster.
Okay, so here's the killer app that's gonna be for this Sega Genesis collection. The mini Evander Holyfield's Real Deal Boxing. Boom.
Oh yeah.
I had that. That's the only joke. Yeah, the sad thing is that I had a Genesis, right? That's the market they're trying to with the SNES and the NES Mini is like for people who had NESs and SNESs as kids and want their new kids to experience the same thing. Yeah, and I'm not interested in this at all. And I had a Genesis growing up, so yeah.
Even me, the Sega fan, looks at this and I'm like, I'm probably not gonna get this thing.
That's sad.
I more want the SNES Mini because I hardly played any of those games,
Yeah.
like especially Secret of Mana, and I still have yet to play Earthbound. Actually, pretty much all the RPGs.
Yeah.
It's the reason why I would want the SNES Mini. It's like that alone is worth it if you could get a good price. But yeah, it's just kind of one of those things where again, I just don't think it's going to sell as well as Sega's probably hoping it will. But you know what I think will sell well?
What?
Shenmue 1 and 2, which they are re-releasing for the Xbox One, PS4, and PC. No details on a Switch, though I'm pretty sure they're going to try everything they can to put it on the Switch. However, though, there is no Xbox version for Japan for some reason. Though I say that, but I'm pretty sure it's because Xbox does not do well over there. So that makes a little more sense. I mean, it's American games company, so it's kind of like, yeah, you kind of at a loss here. I can't really put it too much, but this is exciting for me because I've always wanted to play these two games, and now I easily can. In preparation for the third game, which was kickstarted, and haven't really, heard anything from.
Yeah, I mean, they do post updates once in a while that go to their Kickstarter backers. I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay, well, you see, at least they do update you because
Yeah.
That's good.
I mean,
then,
I don't read the emails though.
I don't read them. I gave them money, but I don't read them. It's like, oh god.
I gave them like what were they charging? They were charging $40 for the PS4 PC PS4 version. I was like, okay, yeah, let me give them $40 now, and then I was like, okay, sure, I'll play it in 2017. I'll be ready for that. Nope.
It's now 2018.
It's now 2018. Almost halfway through 2018, and
oh god, watch. It's well, who knows? Maybe it will be revealed in E3. Like, oh, we're finally gonna have.
I mean, they did have that one trailer where the
oh my god,
the voices were bad. The facial capture was bad.
That was really bad. But hey, listen, I mean, as long as the main reason why people want Shenmue is 3 is because of the story and how it was originally supposed to be a trilogy, and apparently the second one ends at a really big cliffhanger, and it's like, oh my god, I can't believe this is just how it ends. So mainly people want Shenmue 3 just so we can finish the story and have like a proper ending. It's the same reason why I want a Mega Man Legends 3, just so we can like finally finish everything that has been established, and then we can lay that series to rest without wondering like what the heck happened. So yeah. Yeah, so Shenmue 1 and 2, I'm definitely going to be getting that when that comes out. May or may not do a day one stream. Who knows?
I don't have as much time as I used to, but I wish I would. If I did have the time, I would play them both back to back.
Oh no, I have like no time at all. Have you seen my backlog? It's huge.
Yes. I mean, I try not to look at people's backlogs.
Oh no, I don't publicly post mine, but like basically almost all my Steam games I have yet to play. So yay! Anyway, now let's move on to sad news. Because that's always great. Quantum Dreams is back in the news again. Those are the David Cage people. So do you want to actually explain this? Since I've been
Uh,
explaining a lot.
okay, so about the should I get the timeline right, or does it even matter?
I don't think it really matters too
Okay,
much.
so like a
Just
couple months ago, almost like half a year ago, there was a big collaboration between some French newspapers that detailed the working conditions that happen at Quantic Dream, and it ranges from some like racist comments being totally accepted by David Cage himself, making a comment about I forget I forget what the nationality of the person is, but it's just a really racist statement. And then a general work culture where people will Photoshop pictures of other coworkers and uh, very in sexual ways and or on propaganda and stuff like that. It was just a really terrible work culture. And immediately after that, David Cage comes out and says, "Well." He gets really defensive instead of owning up to what happened, and he was like, "Yo, you call me racist? I deal with Jesse Williams. He's in my game. He's a big activist." Which, if you double check the timeline on that, he only became like a big activist after his involvement, after he did everything involved with that game, because he's no longer really he's in the game, but he's done all the work on the game already. But um, I worked. Oh, you call me homophobic? I worked with Ellen Page, and it's like that's like this is
ooh, we
really
probably don't want to bring that up.
yeah, especially since
It's like the one thing, dude.
especially
One thing you don't want to bring up.
especially since Ellen Page was considering suing Quantic Dream.
I am surprised she did not.
That was a bad. For those who don't know, some hackers hacked into Beyond Two Souls, and they found that there were some nude character models of her character, and yeah, which is not wasn't part of her agreement to have
Yeah,
a.
long story short, if that happens, you got to sign some really big legal documents and make sure that everything is a-okay, make sure that all the parties are happy before you do something like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, that didn't happen. So, yeah.
yeah. So
This
it's
lets
like
you know that Quantum Dreams has been, like, Quantum Dreams
they're
and legal
problematic.
trouble it kind of go hand in hand now.
hmm Okay, and so the latest development is this big. This was broken by Jason Schreier, who's doing some publication, some promotion of his book in France, the French version, and he was going to meet with this one French journalist who was actually involved with uncovering this whole deal. And well, when he went for the interview all of a sudden was canceled, and the guy he was talking to, um, it turns out that he was going to be in court. Jason Schreier then figures out, oh well, so it has to do with the Quantic Dream thing. So then it turns out the same day, Kotaku was going to have an interview with David Cage himself. So yeah, guess what? They did. They asked him straight up, "Hey, what? Hey, are you suing the French newspapers?" And before this is so stupid. Like even before he got David Cage, like there was a Sony representative there to make sure that David Cage didn't say anything, but yet David Cage still found a way to say, "No, we're suing the reporters themselves." It's like, oh gosh.
Like, what? You just admitted that? And then get the PR rep was pissed.
Yeah, because
It's
like
like,
he should
oh
have just
god,
not
how
said
are we going to
anything.
sell your game now?
People are still gonna buy that game. That's the sad thing, though. Like
Oh, yeah.
most people don't really care about the. I mean, I'm kind of conflicted
There
about
is an
like
argument here
yeah,
for separating the artist from their work.
right,
Um,
but the thing is that like as well, there's also like okay, like me and you, we consider ourselves critics, so like I don't think we should try to separate ourselves off from certain parts of media just because they're kind of problematic. We could try to come at it with a different angle and try to talk about the politics behind the game, how it was made while we were reviewing the
yeah,
game or
of
something.
course.
But as a consumer, I think that consumers should still be wary and put their money where their politics is, because like the
Yeah,
way
like
the
for
reason why
example,
David Cage
if
has power is because people buy his games. So if people didn't buy his
yeah,
games, Sony's not going to give him money. Sony's not going to defend him for saying racist stuff, but because people buy his games and he's popular, that's what they care about. So
and he does make some pretty good dank memes sometimes, but basically, this is kind of what it amounts to. And I think that one thing that I always try to do with this podcast is not only do something insightful to gaming as a whole, but also try to inform consumers, as that's kind of a thing that critics also do. And while I don't consider myself a high level critic, more like on the mediocre YouTuber side, which is fine, I guess. But I always think that people should get the full scope, should get the full context before they decide to say, "Hey, I'm gonna get this." They think it's like, yeah, it's kind of important to know a little bit of what's actually in the product that you're buying before buying it.
The saddest thing is he could have just ignored it like all the other video game companies in the past have done. It's just
Yeah, and it probably would have been like, okay, well,
it was completely died. But he not only did he make a statement right after the report came out, but he's also now suing them. It's like, okay, what the heck is going on here? Are you just that dumb?
and the sad thing is, in case anyone that doesn't know, the game, this new game is called Detroit Being Human. Probably should have explained this in the beginning, but
yeah.
I actually, while at PAX, because I did go to PAX. I would talk about it more, but we just don't have time, so it's fine. Wasn't really that eventful, but I was able to play the demo of the game, and it was actually not that bad.
I heard it's really excellent from what I've heard from a lot of people who got to try it.
It really looks like it kind of combined all the things I really liked about Heavy Rain, and it kind of just like put them in together, and it felt like a step forward. But then again, it was just a demo, so I'm not 100% sure that will be indicative of the full game.
Was it the police confrontation demo?
It was.
Yeah, okay, cool.
So it will be the same demo that if you have a PS4 that you will be able to play as well. So,
you find time to download it.
Yeah, I recommend trying out the demo and seeing if it's good. If this is like the thing that you think that you're gonna enjoy. So, yeah. Anyway, let's lead off the topic. Before we get into our main discussion, we have one last thing that actually came out. We actually had to push, like, fun fact, we actually had to push this podcast back a couple days. I'm kind of glad we did, because the day that we were going to record this, news broke out about Sonic Mania Plus. Holy crap. Oh, God. Okay, so...
Obligatory Sonic reference, everyone.
Yep. Okay, so Sonic Mania Plus is... I only have a release date for it. It is coming in June 17th. It's coming June 17th, and that's not too far away. That's less than 2 months as the time I'm recording this. And... I just have to say that the trailer that they showed was so amazing. We also got some more info because of that trailer. As you all know, this is getting a physical release. So in case you haven't bought like Sonic Mania, or you skipped out on it, or you wanted a physical version of the game, now you can have one. We also do have Mighty and Ray as playable characters, but there's a few new changes that they have. First off, you'll be able to switch on characters kind of on the fly now. We don't have like full on like what they mean by that, but what people are assuming is like at the end of every act or something like that, you'll be able to switch out instead of having like to have a full. Yeah, it's probably not going to be like I could just switch like that. Yeah, it's probably not going to be. You're not going to be like that. I wish it was, but yeah. We have two new characters, of course, Mighty the Armadillo and Ray the Flying Squirrel. Mighty seems to have this ability where you can just like go like basically drop down super fast, which I don't know how useful that would be, but it looks like it does a lot of damage, so it might be good for bosses. And then Ray, it basically can glide, and he looks broken. That's all I'm gonna say. It looks like he would break the game very easily. So that's great. Now the main reason why it's these two is because we actually haven't seen them in a game for over 20 years. Especially Ray. Ray was only in one game, and that's it. Ever. In an arcade game too, so it was very interesting. Another thing to talk about is the multiplayer mode, which is now going to be up to 4 people.
Oh.
So yeah.
There was a multiplayer in...
Yeah, in Sonic Mania. When Sonic Mania Plus comes out, you'll be able to now play up to 4 people at the same time instead of just 2. That's probably going to be the most chaotic thing ever, but hey, it's probably going to be good old fun times. I hope. There's also a new save and playback function for if you're speed running, and there's some differences with boss fights now. They're more optimized to be a little bit more fair or just a little more challenging in some areas. And the biggest thing, though, for me is the new Encore mode, which will remix some zones and will have visual changes to other zones that you've played. So basically, it's like a new version of the game. And all this, all this for basically $5 if you have the original game. So that's pretty good. It's a pretty good DLC for that, as it really does just kind of feel like a 2.0 of the game.
I like 2.0s.
Yeah.
Better than 1.0.
So yeah, I am not sure if we'll get like more info as we start to get closer, as they revealed a lot already, so I have no idea what else they can really show at this point, because it's still Sonic Mania. I love the game. If you have not played it, please try it out. Get it. It's fantastic. It is one of my favorite Sonic games, and even if you've never played Sonic before, this is a really good introduction. It teaches you all the basics. It has a lot of new things. It remixes some old that you don't need nostalgia goggles to enjoy this game. Finally, thank God. They learned. So yeah, that's my whole spiel about it. All right. So Sponge, what are your thoughts on Sonic Mania?
I haven't played it, but I would like to play it sometime.
All right, good. Oh yeah, by the way, also if you have Steam, there's some really good mods for that. Like we're talking really high quality stuff here. So
a lot of meme.
Well, we got a lot of memes. We also got a lot of just kind of changes here and there, more gameplay changes. Just some really fun stuff too. So
I just realized there's probably a Ugandan Knuckles mod.
Oh God, I think there is. Okay, so take what I say with a grain of salt. It's more like a pound now, but oh geez, just erase that meme from like existence now.
Oh gosh, yeah.
All right,
explaining to people.
I'm so tired too. But anyway, folks, that's it for the headlines. So let's get into the main event today, which is going to be our topic on father figures in video games, how generational differences impact storytelling, or at least how we perceive. So, beginning with The Last of Us, I'd like to say. Well, not really beginning with, but
you could
ever since The Last of Us.
You could take it back to Telltale's The Walking Dead.
Oh yeah.
Okay,
yeah, like
by a
even
year.
Telltale
that was a year
has
before.
kind of popularized this whole or has at least made the idea more mainstream of having either our protagonists or either some other character being a father figure. It's mainly our protagonist though. Like again, we use The Walking Dead season 1. But I mean, I guess you could also see the other seasons if you count, Clem as a father figure ish or just parent figure.
I mean, like that would probably be like one of the few cases. Well, that's kind of spoiler for season 2, but like.
Oh crap! Yeah, spoiler! Yeah. Oh god, what did I do?
But, yeah, so, but like, yeah. I mean,
okay, yeah. Anyway, yeah. I like to think that it probably goes further than that, and I just can't think of any good examples. But especially nowadays,
probably the first case I could think of is BioShock. BioShock is kind of father figure-y.
Yeah.
You gotta take care of those little sisters.
Wait, no, I thought that was just a BioShock 2 where you took care of them.
Well, BioShock 2 you did so, but with BioShock 1 you could either kill them or protect them. And
okay,
at the end of the game,
yeah.
And spoilers for BioShock 1, if you protected all the little girls, then you got to be their daddy. And
okay, so yeah, so
until you died.
So basically, there was a there was always some kind of idea to push this kind of narrative or in video games about like father figures. Though now we have seen an increase in them, and I'm not saying this is a good or bad thing. I'm just saying that we've seen
it's more games where the narrative is explicit about exploring those what it means to be a father, right?
Yeah, especially nowadays where we have a game Yakuza 6 and the new God of War, which are both about fathers. You both play a father figure.
Technically, Kiryu is actually a grandfather in that one.
Okay, grandfather, but still.
I mean, yeah, it's the same type of role.
Yeah, it's the same. Okay, whatever.
I was just messing with you, but it's essentially, yeah. Yeah, so a lot of people are pointing that out, and it's like, it's because, game developers are getting older, right? A lot of them are settling down, having families, and they're kind of wondering about their legacy, how they're going to live on, and now they have something to protect and stuff like that. So
but this also kind of creates what I like to say a more shift in terms of game design too. Whenever you make a story with really anything like this, the one thing I always think of is like, okay, so are we going to have any escort missions? Because like if we're having a father figure, then we're probably gonna have someone to protect, and then immediately I go to escort missions, which people love to hate, except for Ashley. You can't hate that one. That one's great, especially if you put her in armor. Don't have to worry about anything.
Yeah. Oh gosh. I mean, you could tell her to hide. Yeah, Ashley Graham was not that bad.
Oh man. It's sad that's like back, like all the way back then. It's like one of the best cases that we've still seen today.
I think
there hasn't been anything to top that.
I think I was listening to Steve Gaynor's podcast. What was it? Whatever it's called, Total Control, and he was talking with Bennett Foddy about the whenever you pick up Ashley. A very subtle thing that happens is that the camera zooms back. It's the only time the camera moves, and it widens your view so you can see more. Actually,
Whoa.
So it makes it a little bit easier for you when you have Ashley. So you can see Ashley at all times, and you can see your character, and you can see a little bit more of the environment. So it was like some really good subtle like designs. Resident Evil 4 is such a great game. Play it if you haven't.
It was my first time actually playing a Resident Evil game, and I started with 4, and now I'm like, holy crap! Why is this game so good?
Yeah.
But anyway, back to the whole father figures. I mean, unless who knows? Maybe there's gonna be another Resident Evil game, Resident Evil 8, and we're gonna have
Leon and
old man Leon,
Daddy.
Father figure.
That would be interesting. Yeah.
But the one thing that this kind of just tells you, like you were talking about earlier, was as game developers grow older, the type of stories that they want to tell tend to shift. And I think that now we're just starting. I think that now that this has just kind of become a trend. that we're probably going to see for at least a couple more years. But I think like the issue is now, how do we make our game that's about a father figure stand out from this game that's also about kind of the same themes that we're exploring?
I mean,
so
are me and you we're making a game about father figures?
no,
mean, like
you know what I mean.
I mean, like, essentially, if I were to make a game about parenthood, I would not go with the father route because fatherhood is always it's so well represented. But like, a really good article. To talk about fatherhood in video games, we also have to talk about motherhood, and motherhood in video games is really not well represented. And when is represented, it's not represented in a positive light. So
yeah, that's
like
always really a downside.
We're not gonna go. I don't think. Are we gonna get into it, or do you?
I did want to touch a little bit on that too.
Yeah. There's a really good article on The Guardian called "Why Is Motherhood So Poorly Portrayed in Video Games" by Katie Gray, and it really goes over like a lot of like it's you could mainly chalk it up to most of the game developers aren't women, so they're not going to be able to tell their stories because they're not in positions of power to actually dictate how the story is going to go. So yeah,
this is why we need more female writers,
but also don't you think
them
that
in the industry?
I think Wolfenstein 2 actually my favorite dad is actually BJ Blazkowicz, but Wolfenstein.
Does he count?
He's dad to be.
Okay, then yeah.
Yeah, but like Wolfenstein 2 kind of deals with that in that like a lot of that the dadification of games is like we have to protect. Is this masculine idea that you have to protect this child in a physical way, right? You gotta shoot the bad guy. You gotta make sure they don't fall and drown and stuff like that. But
in the case of the new God of War, you actually literally have to train.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to train Atreus, right? That's the kid's name.
Yep.
Yeah. So motherhood is always portrayed as very supportive and if she's even there. And in God of War, she's not. She's dead the whole story.
Yeah, so
it's like
kind of
okay. Think like okay. There's not really any mother figures in The Walking Dead. There's not any mother figures in The Last of Us.
Well, I mean, there. I forgot her name, but Kenny's wife.
Kenny's wife. Yeah, I mean that is a good point. That is a good point. But
like. Honestly, we could just have an entire podcast just discussing about Kenny and his wife and how that is portrayed, because that's an interesting dynamic that they have.
Because you can see because like his way of fatherhood, right? He's really protective of his family, but he's also really like if he goes off, he's really a shitty person. But so
yeah, where he's one of those secret shitty persons. You don't really think he is because he's so good at putting a tough guy.
He's pretty upfront about his shittiness, but a lot of people would like to make that excuse of hey, he's just caring for his family, but I don't know.
Yeah,
there's still not good.
This is also this also kind of leads into the whole like how we as cultures define fatherhood.
Mm-hmm, yeah.
And just before we get and just like talking about that too is it's why I kind of don't mind like games exploring this idea of like, okay, what does being a father really mean? But I do have to agree with you that I don't see a lot of motherhood stuff.
I mean,
and again, if it's in there, it's like oh well, my mother was terrible, or or it just wasn't supportive, or the mother acted like the father figure for some reason. It's just reversing it's just reversing the gender roles, which seems to be a common thing now.
The thing is that, because there's all types of mothers, there's all types of fathers. I think that we should actually diversify how we're telling these stories, because like all of these stories of fatherhood are really similar. That's why I feel like, kind of Wolfenstein 2 is such a great game, because it kind of flips that on its head, because like, BJ is like really worried about not being able to physically take care of his soon to be children, his wife and stuff like that. And that's what his main anxiety in that game is. That's what he's like, his internal monologues is about. And, once he, kind of comes to terms that, he might not be able to do that, he could get help and stuff like that.
And this is all, and keep in mind, this is all coming from Wolfenstein 2.
Yes,
a game you would really not think would go this much in terms of
it's a really great game about masculinity, and it turns what masculinity has been in video games on its head. I think it's a really good meditation on that. That like there's all types of fathers. All of these dads in the video games I've seen is like they're mainly like, they're mainly beings of action, right? Kratos. Yeah, I mean, they're learning to be more.
I mean, look at Kratos.
Yeah. And that game, it's supposed to be him like trying to learn to be more sympathetic, but still, what they're teaching those children is, to be violent, right?
Yeah, I also look at because I knew I was going to talk about this, but The Last of Us, I think, is also a really good example of a father figure of Joel.
Mm-hmm.
I know The Last of Us gets talked around a lot, even still nowadays.
I kind of think Last of Us is a little bit overrated. I do
as well, but I will admit that I think it does handle this topic pretty well, with kind of how it represents kind of fatherhood, which is why I'm actually really interested to see how they're gonna do. What are they gonna do for the sequel? That's always interesting.
Yeah, I do wonder where it's gonna go. Yeah,
but again, I think like the biggest point that we can get out of this whole thing is that this is just kind of another means of telling a story. And of course, with anything, there's good ways to tell it, and then there's bad ways to tell it, and there's also kind of this line you kind of have to cross of whether or not whether or not you can even say that this is going to be the thing. This is what we want to do. This is what you want. Creative decisions always fly, and it's always a mess, especially with the game development. So I would say that when I look at, especially when I look at the Yakuza series, or more so 6, and of course God of War, I look at them and I'm like, they kind of treat masculinity and they kind of treat fatherhood almost the same thing, like almost like the same way. So when I finally got a chance to sit down and play Wolfenstein 2, just like you were saying, it was like a breath of fresh air. It was like, this is really good. I wouldn't expect this from this game out of all. I'm shooting Nazis in the face, and there's this deep, interesting character that has anxiety about being a father and trying to be there for his children. It's like, okay, this is really interesting stuff. So that's where I kind of want to leave on with father figures, but we also did bring up the point about mother figures and how there's a severe lack of them in games. This is kind of this is kind of just the whole thing that we've seen, is that representation is super important. We could do an entire podcast about representation in video games and why it's super important. But do you want to talk a little more about this?
Okay, yeah, sure. Yeah. Basically, like the trope is in video games and a lot of narrative. Like it's a narrative in general as well, but like, is for like the mother's role is to nurture, um, and or to just be the vehicle for which the main protagonist is born, and then she immediately dies. You know, and which is kind of sad. Like she doesn't get any characterization. Like Fallout 3, like your mother gets very zero, almost zero characterization. She just dies as soon as, for like almost no reason. But eh.
A
Um,
lot, and then or you could be like Pokemon syndrome, where the mother is
yeah,
always there,
always there at home. All she does is just gives you money or stuff.
she in Gen 2 she can keep. She's basically your banker. She takes like
Yeah.
a cut of all the money that you earn, and then you can come back like during the end game. You have like thousands of money, and you're like, oh god, thanks.
Thanks, Mom.
Thanks for just sleeping in the kitchen and giving me the only room. Wow, Pokemon is really sexist now I think about it. Jeez.
Yeah. Why isn't the mom
And
the?
where's the father?
Well,
Like seriously.
I mean, if it's Gen, what was the
Gen
Sapphire
if it's Gen 3, the father is a gym leader, which
Yeah,
which I appreciated.
Why couldn't the
and
mother be a gym leader?
like wait a minute. Because that was made in 2002-ish. So so yeah, that's kind of that's why. But I hate to bring up like Pokemon, but actually, when I think about it, wow, the remakes of Gen 3, Aqua Sapphire and Omega Ruby, one of the best things about that is that we finally got a good story to really encapsulate like some of the themes that started off. And while I think it was a huge missed opportunity to try and not create a better connection with your father in that game, or it's just your parents in general, which even like Gen 5 tries to do a little bit more with. So yeah, missed opportunity there, Pokemon. What the heck? Jeez.
I mean, Pokemon, like, I've been playing. I was playing Omega Sapphire. Is it? That's the remake of the.
It's Aqua Sapphire Mega Ruby.
Okay.
I used to get them confused all the time.
Yeah.
So
sorry. Yeah. But yeah, I've been playing it, but like, the story wasn't like really a main thing. I don't know. It's like it's very bare bones to me. I don't know. There's not really anything that I can write about the thematics or anything.
It's still very bare bones. The only thing that really stuck out to me is the presentation.
Yeah, the presentation is
especially when you
nicer.
look at it. But again, it's just another huge missed opportunity. It's like you could do a lot here, you just don't. And it's frustrating when that happens. But anyway, I think just to kind of wrap this all up. I think that when it comes to this whole topic, especially when it comes to trying to figure out what games are going to tackle next, what developers have in mind for what type of themes, and I am always kind of looking for different variations, and I think that when it comes to father figures, I'm hoping that we will see more interpretations of what fatherhood is, and it's not all the same thing, which it looks like we're going to be getting more of that, hopefully. Or, it could just die off and now something else will take over the new trend. Who knows?
The sonification of games.
I mean, remember, the silent protagonist was a huge thing early in, and then now when we started getting more dialogue, it's like, oh, okay, well, maybe our protagonist shouldn't be all silent. So video games have their own trends, and this is just one of them. Just like with Battle Royale and lifestyle games, I hope that thing dies quickly. I don't want that, Ubisoft. It's just not fun. Listen, it's not how you make a game. That's how you make money. But I asked for a game.
Okay. Yeah.
Please. Yeah, that's my whole spiel about this. I really am interested to see kind of what happens next and what future games have in store for the type of stories that they want to tell. Or don't tell, because they could have no stories. It's fine.
Gaming is looking very promising as, more and more people are trying to get into gaming and of different backgrounds. So, hopefully different types of games are going to get made because of people, different viewpoints are going to get seen, and they're going to think of new mechanics, new systems. So I think I'm really excited to see that happen.
And I am as well. So, at this point, this is usually where I decide to read any questions that I get, but unlike previously, I didn't get any questions, so it's fine. So this is the point where I basically plug and say, yeah, so if you want to leave any questions, you can @ me on my Twitter, which is @ the Gumshoe Gamer, because someone took Gumshoe Gamer. Can't get that @ back. Rip me. But if you can also join my Discord, there will be a link in the description if you're watching this on my, if you're watching the YouTube version, or if you're watching this on my website, or if you're watching this on Apple Podcasts, there should be something there that can link you to. Hopefully, I got everything right. But yeah. So just make sure to leave me questions, and the next time we do a podcast, I'll answer as many as I can, because I like doing that, and yeah, I've only got more questions. But in any case, I just want to thank my lovely Patreons for supporting me, as I have been able to finally save up to get some more better equipment. So hopefully I'll be not using this mic in the next podcast and getting a proper XLR, and it just hopefully will sound a lot better, which will be great. So yeah, if you want to support me on Patreon, there is a link to. You also get, of course, a little thank you. Also have the names of that in the stuff. So yeah, it's great. In terms of channel updates and all that stuff, for me personally, I am working on another My 2 Cents video. Though I want to wait until I get my new mic set up before I start recording audio for that. I have everything. I have all the gameplay. The script is all done. I just need to record audio and then edit it all up. So probably will take like a couple weeks, and then video will be done. So that's amazing. I am actually going back on doing Twitch and everything. So expect like a proper streaming schedule maybe in a week after this podcast is out, and I'll have like a more list out things of what I'll be doing. Anyway, my guest here, Sponge, would you have anything you want to plug?
Mainly my Twitter. Right now I'm doing a format refresh, and so you could best see when that happens, which hopefully is soon. It's at the SpongeBrain. So yeah, follow for hopefully more gaming stuff, less political stuff, but that's lately what I've been doing. So yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, folks, just want to say thank you all for listening in the podcast. If you like this, you're watching on Apple, just make sure you hit that subscribe button, just like YouTube, folks. You gotta hit that button. Gotta give it likes, because that's what I'm supposed to say in these podcasts. So yeah, I hope you all have a good night, evening, day, whatever time it is, and I'll see you in the next one.